Hi everyone, welcome back to Zero Analyst. This is the day 28th of our 30 days Python series. Thank you so much for showing so much love to all of my 19 days Python series. Today we'll be learning how to do advanced analysis using Pandas, which is a library in Python. So we have already covered Pandas basics and you have also seen Pandas automations, which we have built in the project in the last video. So today we'll be doing advanced analysis using Pandas. Like we'll be doing group by, we'll be doing aggregation functions. You'll be learning concatenations functions. You'll be learning merge, which is same as like join we do SQL. So you'll be learning how to join two or more tables together based on a common column, which you call join in SQL. So we call merge in Pandas. So you'll be learning join, you will be learning merge, you will be learning concatenations, you'll be learning group by, and you will be learning aggregations functions. So you're going to learn all the advanced functions of Pandas today. So let's see the topic and let's start the video. So first we'll be starting with merge, which same as like join we do in SQLs. Like in SQL you have inner join, left join, outer join, right join. So all those join we can do. So the main objective of doing join is to join two tables or more than two tables together, right? So that is same as like in Pandas we call it merge. Now you can also use join. So I am going to tell you the difference between merge and join. We'll be doing same task using merge and join. Then we're going to learn concatenation. So using concatenation, you can basically concatenate two or more than two data frames together, either in a column basis or either in a row basis. So we'll be seeing concatenations. Then we're going to learn group by and aggregation functions. So you can analyze a large data using simple group by approach, which we do same as like in SQL. So all those things we will be learning to analyze the large data and joining more than kind of two data frames together. Okay, so let's first go ahead and import the libraries. Now you need to make sure that this pandas and numpys are already imported. So I'm just going to execute this query. So you can say now pandas and numpy imported. Now here I'm going to create a data frame that is called employee. Okay, so if you see, this is a dict which is called imp, and in the dict I have some keys and I have some values. Employee ID. So I have like 4 employees a record in my this dict which is called imp, and then I have their name which is called name. Now this is the key and this is the values I am storing as a list. Okay, now all this dict function you have already learned in the dict a series. I think it is the day 5 or day 6 where I have covered the dictionary, right? So inside the salary key I'm storing all these different salaries for all those employees. And then I have something called department. So it is a simple table. You can see simple table with 4 columns, and each column has some values which is for 4 employees, right? So 4 employees are records what I have here at the moment. Now there is a department table which is a different table, you can see. So that is also a dict, and this department table has department ID, department name, and their kind of values you can see, right? Then what I'm doing is that I'm just creating a data frame using the first one which is called imp, and I'm creating a data frame called pd.dataframe imp. So this is the here, and then I'm creating one more data frame which is called department data frame. So let's see both the data frame one by one, then we will kind of do the analysis. Okay, so let's first go ahead and say df which is called the first one. Let's see the head. Okay, so you can see this df imp has kind of 4 values at the moment. So this seems like the 4 employees record what you have at the moment, right? So 1 2 3 4 records we have, and it has 4 columns. Okay, if you check the next table, that's going to be the department table. So I think the department table has again the 4 records of 4 different departments and their kind of regions, right? So if you see, both the table has something common column which is called department ID, right? Now if in case I ask, like let's say for this employee for which is called Sam, what is the department name? So you can basically take this department ID which is 1, and you will go to this table and you will look for a department ID 1, and you can tell that this employee belongs from IT department and the region is India, right? So that means we can simply do a join in SQL if you have the same problem, and you can say inner join, or you can do a left join between this and this, and you can say that this department ID and this department ID. That is how you can get the values, right? So same thing we can do it here. So let's go ahead and let's see how we can do this join. Okay, now in pandas you have something called join as well, you have something called kind of merge as well. So we will see which of one is the right choice to solve this problem. Okay, so let's kind of go ahead and add some more employees. Okay, let's say I'm going to add 2 more employees here. Okay, so let's say 105 106. Okay, 2 more employees, and let's just keep some name called maybe Priya, and maybe something called Rex. Okay, let's give some their salary, maybe np dot. So I'm just saying np dot none. So that means I'm not defining any salary. So this basically I'm just putting some null for their salaries. Okay, so department ID I want maybe something called 2, and for next employee I don't have a department ID at the moment. Okay, So I have just added two more records. Now I have the same data, but in the department I have kind of the same data. In the employees I have like two more records. Let's go ahead and execute it. So you can see now I have kind of total 6 records. Okay, and two employee doesn't have a salary, and so just I have added two more records in the employee table. The department table remains same. You can see I have 4 departments. Okay, so that is fine. Now we can do a join between these two tables, right? So let's see how we can do a join. So let's just add a coding cell here, and I'm just going to write it called merge. Okay, so merge is the same like join we have in SQL. Okay, same as join we have in SQL. Okay, so merge, what it does, it basically combine two or more data frame together. So I can just write something called it combine two or more data frame together. Okay, so this is what a merge does in Pandas. So now you need to understand both the table must have a common column. So for us, we have a common column which is called department ID. So based on the department ID, I can get the informations. Let's say for any employee, if I'm looking for their department name or maybe region, so based on this department I can get it, right? So to do that, you can simply go ahead and say pt dot merge. Now let's see some of the functionality that this merge function has. Let's see help related to this merge functions. So it says merge data frame name series object with a data base style join. So basically based on the join that we do in SQL, same style we kind of merge a data frame. Okay, when you say data frame, it could be more than one data frame. It could be 1, 2 or 3, more than that, right? So here you have two functions. One is called left, one is called right. So first data frame that you give, that is considered as a left table, same as like in SQL, the first table is the left table. Then the second data frame that you give, that is considered as a right. In SQL we say like a left join, right? So here we need to say how, and then as a string we need to pass this join. It's an inner join, right join, left join, and for join we have left, right, inner and outer join. So these are the 4 join we have. So you need to define something called how, and then you need to give something called on, same as like in SQL we give on. Okay, now here the things little different. Okay, if both the table have a different name, let's say in one table I have department ID, in another table I have debt ID. Okay, so here you can use something called left on. So that means in left table, what is the column name, the combine the same column, the column that you are using to do the common column that you are using for this join. So you can say left on, you can give that column name, right on, you can give that column name. These are called index label, right, which are the column names. Each column's name is the index label. Okay, so that is it. Now it's going to basically give you the results. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a merge, right? So we have seen the data frame. So both the data frame seems to have this department ID. Now my employee table is going to be my first table. Based on this employee department ID, I am going to find their kind of the department name. Okay, that's my main target. So let's go ahead and say that pd dot merge, and here inside this brackets, the left data frame that I would be giving is called df of employee, which is my first, and first data frame which is called df dot employee. My second data frame is going to be df dot department. Okay, so that is fine. Now I need to give something called how. Okay, which is a mandatory. So which join basically you want Pandas to do. So here inside this brackets you have all these options, 5 options you have: cross, inner, left, right, outer. So let's do a left join, means everything I'm selecting from the first table, and I'm selecting the matching things from the right table. Let's first do an inner join. Okay, let's do an inner join. So this is fine. Now if you have both the table with the same column name, then this on condition is not mandatory. Without giving it, you will be getting the results. So let's see first. Okay, so you can see I have the 4 employee records. Okay, because why? Because the for 4th employee I have the department ID in both the table. So let's see first one, which is called Sam, Mike, Alex and Priya. These are the first 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and see for Sam, Mike, Alex and Priya. For this 4 employee, I have the department ID because I have done an inner join, right? So inner join means if this department ID exists in both the table, then only I will be getting that result, right, as a row, right? So I have 4 employee with this employee ID. So that's the reason I'm getting 4 employee records. The employee ID which doesn't exist, for that I will not get the records. Now all those for all those 4 employee, I have this department name, I have their kind of their region, right? So whatever I wanted, I have this, right? So now I can see this is a merge combine table, right? So here column wise I have added the kind of the different columns from the different data frames, right? So same what you do join in SQL. Okay, so this is for inner join. Now let's do a left join and let's see how it works. Okay, so I can simply say left join. So left join means what? I will be getting everything from my left table, which is going to be my employee table. That means all those 6 employee records, even if the department ID doesn't exist, so I will be getting null from the department table, right? That's what the left join does, everything, all the records from the left table and matching things from the right table. If things doesn't exist in the right table, then you get null. Okay, so let's see. So here you can see now I have this employee ID, employee name, salary, department, department name, and the region. This is coming from my right table. Okay, so few employee doesn't have a department ID. You can see still it is not kind of ignoring that record, because it is a left join, means getting everything from the first table. So this employee John doesn't have a department ID, so we are getting null from the department table. Okay, same way this employee doesn't have a department ID, so we are getting null. Okay, so this is kind of fine. This is how we do join in SQL, right? So we are just using merge instead of using join. So we also have a join, we will see next. So that is fine. I can do a right join as well. So let's do a right join. To do a right join, basically I would have all the department, and then for each department I will have all the records. So if any employee who doesn't have a department, I will not have it. But if there's any department which department doesn't have any employee, I will still have the department, right? So if you want to see the right join, it means I would be having 4 department, and I would be having all the employees who falls into this department ID 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there is a possibility maybe there is a one department which basically has not assigned to any of the employees. Still I will have that department because it's a right join. Okay, so same as like opposite of left join. So we can go ahead and say that here I want to do a right join. So now you can see I have kind of the same thing. This time I am having everything from the department table. So IT, I have kind of only one employee, which is Sam. In HR, I have 2 employees, which you can see it here, Mike and Priya. In marketing, I have kind of 1 employee, which is Alex. And in operations, I don't have any employee, but still I have this record. Because why? Because it's a right join. So that means you will have all the rows from the right table, and then if in case for specific row you don't find any match, then you get null. Okay, that is what you can see it here. Okay, so that was right join. Now let's go ahead and see the full outer join. Okay, full outer join means selecting everything, every row from both the table. If there's a match, that is great. If there's a no match, the opposite table, you get basically nulls. Okay, so we can just go ahead and say outer. Okay, so you can see now we have 7 records. So for each employee, we are trying to find their department name. We get it here. So for the employee who doesn't have a department name, we get null here. Okay, same way for the department which doesn't have an employee, we get null in the left side. Okay, so it's same as like outer join we do in SQL. Now if you know SQL, it's kind of really easy for you to kind of understand this concept. Okay, so this is fine. So we have seen how to use merge, right? Now let's say I would do one thing. I'm going to kind of make some changes with the column name. In this here, in the department table, I'm just going to call it call ID. Okay, so because if I say department ID, now if I do a join, it's not going to work. Okay, I can basically show you. Let me just run it. So let's see now the department table. It's instead of Dict ID, instead of same column name, it's a different column name, little different, right? If you see employee table, it's ID and it's Dept ID. Here it is department ID. Now how does Pandas is going to know that okay, we're trying to join this table based on this and this? Okay, so for that I would just need to add something called on. Okay, now thing is that as both the table has a different column, okay, so that means I would need to use, instead of on, I would need to use which is called left on and right on. So let's see what this left on does. So if you just say left on, so here you need to tell the column name from the left table that you are trying to do a join. Okay, so left on, and what is the column name in the left table? So left table is the first table, which is called df, that is the employee table. So the column name is called department ID, right, which is called Dept ID. Fine. Now we have one more column I need to give from the right table as well. So I would say right on, and here I need to give what is my column name that I'm trying to do a join in the right table. So that is called department ID. So it is better to give the column name here left on and right on. Okay, so now that is fine. If you can just run it, I will be getting the results. Now I can see I'm getting the results, right, because I have defined left column and right column. If I run this one, now you can see this is not giving, this is giving an error. It says no column to perform merge options left on, right on, none, because we have not defined the left and right on, and there was no matching at the moment. Okay, so first of all we need to make sure that we have a same column name in the both the table that we're trying to do a join. Otherwise you need to use a left on and right on. So again, same thing, it's going to be same, which is called left on and right on. Okay, so let's go ahead and put it, and we will have the results. Okay, so this is how you can kind of see how this join is working. So here you can see I have the results, right? Now I have the same results. I have just added 2 additional lines, which is called left column name and the right column name, using left on and right on. Okay, So that is it about the merge. It's a very similar that you do in SQL, which is called join. So joining two or more than two data frames together based on a similarity, which is based on a common column. Okay. Now that is fine. Let's go ahead and see then what is join. Okay. Now let's see another example where I have kind of defined this indexes, which is called three names. I have Alice, Bob, and Charlie. I have department, their department, which is here you can see, and I'm adding some indexes this time. Okay. So you can see salaries as well. I have added three salaries and three indexes. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this data frame. Let me just go ahead and run it. Let's go ahead and verify it. So we can see employees is one of the data frames. So it seems like it has three employee records, and I have one more which is called salaries. Okay, in the salaries I again have three salaries records. Okay, and I can go ahead and give some other index as well. Okay, so I can give the index maybe instead of like 0, 1 and 2 by default 1, I can give something like maybe the first index as a 2, second employee as a 4, and then third as a 6. Okay, so here also I would need to just give the index. Let's say I would just give 2, 4, 6, right? So if you see now I have a different index which is called 2, 4, 6. Okay, if you see in the employees I have different index now 2, 4, 6. Okay, so when you talk about simple join instead of kind of doing merge, when you talk about join, so join usually what it does, it will join two data frame based on the index only. It is not going to join based on the column. So like in SQL, when you do join, you join based on any columns, right? Any common column that you have in both the tables. Here, this join function will join two data frame based on the index only. You cannot give this kind of column name as a kind of using this department ID. You cannot join. Okay, we will see that example as well. So first, let's go ahead and see the syntax. Okay, first you need to give your first data frame name. Let's say we give the first data frame name as a employees. Okay, then I'm just going to type join. Now this employees must be a data frame, which is pandas data frame. You can see this is a data frame, so I'm getting this join, and then I would just give my second data frame. You can see it's saying other data frame, which is means your second data frame. So second data frames which I'm trying to join is the salary. Okay, so let's go ahead and join it here. Okay, so very simple approach. You can see now we have joined. What is happening based on the index, it did the join. Okay, you can see based on the index we are getting the Alice salary. So based on the index, because we have given some index here, based on the index we are doing the join here. Now I can go ahead and define some index, maybe something called A, let's say, which is called here, let's say call B here, let's say call C. Okay, now I can just give them same index, but let me just go ahead and give index which is called maybe first B here, C here, A here. Okay, let's go ahead and maybe give you something A here as well. Let's go ahead and give B, C and A. Okay, let's run it and let's see how things works now. You can see now what is happening for A, because A index is given to Alice. If you see the employee, which is the first employee, which is Alice, so Alice index is A, right? So we will try to find, when we do a join, we will try to find based on this A what is the salary. So for A, salary is this 55,000, for C it is 60,000, for B it is 55,000. Now if you see the merged data, for Alice we are getting 55,000. We're not getting the first salary. Why? Because it is trying to get the data based on the index. Okay, let's now go ahead and see our next function, which is going to be concatenations. Okay, let's see how concatenation works. Okay, so for concatenations I will be using our next data frame, which is going to be maybe this one. Okay, so this one again has a simple data which is called employee ID, employee name and their salary. And here in the second data frame I have some more records. Here I have kind of employee ID, another two employee, and their name and their salary. So that means both the data frame has the same thing, but here I just have two records. Here I have kind of few records. So now let me show you the concatenations with an example. Let's say you have something called sale ID, sale date, okay, and maybe product name and price. Okay, let's go ahead and say the sale ID is something like 10123. Okay, let's say today you have got this data till 3 sales ID, right? You have a sales date by default. Let me just give some date here. Let me just go ahead and say that sale dates are this. Oops. And let's say product is called maybe iPhone 15. Okay, we can just change it to maybe iPhone 16. Okay, iPhone 17, something like this. Okay, so prices, let's put some price called 899, 1299, 1599. Okay, this is fine. Let's say today you have got only this piece of information, this piece of data set at the moment. But tomorrow, let's say you got one more data frames, which is something like this. Okay, that's going to be something like this. But here you have sale ID call 4 and 5. Okay, two more new sale. Let's give some product, maybe kind of iPhone 12, iPhone maybe 15. Okay, so now see, if you want to do a join, basically these are two same data frames, right? So usually if you have the same problem, you can do a union in SQL, right, to kind of add this record here, right, because they have same column, same data types each column. So you would simply add this records here, right? So that is called union, which you will be doing in SQL. So now the benefits of using Python, you can add this record as a row wise. That means you would be simply concatenating this data here directly. You will be putting this data here. So it is simply going to work column by column. So first column value is going to fall into the first column, second column value is going to fall here, third column value is going to fall here, fourth column values is going to fall here. You need to make sure that they have the same columns and same data types. Okay, and now you need to make sure they have the same number of columns. Okay, that is fine. So that is one way of doing this kind of concatenations, which is called union. Here in Pandas, you can again join. This is a join using the row wise, right, where you say you are joining based on the row. So that means new records would be automatically adding here, right? But in Pandas, you can join this way as well. You can just add this as well. So this is going to do a join based on the column wise. Okay, so now if you edit here, it's a row wise join, and if you edit here, it's a column wise join. You just need to define something called axis equals 0. By default x is equals 0. That means by default concatenations happens based on the row wise. If you want it on the column wise, then you can just say x is equals 1. Okay, we will see both the example. Okay, let's go ahead and kind of see with an example here. So you can say pd dot concate this one, and if you see the kind of functions, you can see it here. It's very simple. So here you say object. In the object, you need to give all your data frames, which is inside one kind of this tuples, and then you can define something called axis equals 0. By default it is 0, or you can define it 1 if you want the merge to happen on the column wise. Okay, that means all the new records would be adding, all the columns would be adding after the columns. Okay, so that is fine. That is what you need to do. And again, you have something called joins, where you can define join as like outer, inner, all those options also you have. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see. So we can say that concate. Now here inside this, I need to give my data frame. Okay, so data frame, my first data frame is called df1. Inside this kind of square brackets, I need to give all my data frames, whatever the data frame I have. Now this is a very useful functions when you are trying to merge multiple data set together, same data set. Let's say you have a data frame of kind of 30-day sales, but the problem is that each day sales are stored in a different spreadsheet, like different Excel file. So you want to merge everything together. So that's where this function is going to be useful. Okay, so df1 is one of the data frame, df2 is my second data frames. Now that is fine. So I'm saying df1 df2. Here I can just define something called axis equals 0, which is not mandatory. So I can just run it, and you can see that my concatenation is done. So I'm saying employee ID, employee name, salary. So in one data frames I have kind of these 3 records. In the second data frame I have these 2 records, right? Debit and IBA, they are from the second data frame. Now let's see if in case I want this to column, instead of adding it row wise, I want them to add it maybe here. Okay, so that means here I would again have employee ID, employee name, and salary. So this to employee would be added here. Let's see how we can do it. So for that, you just need to put them into kind of this another parenthesis, just give a comma, and we can just add an axis here, and we can say axis equals 1. You can say as soon as I say axis equals 1, those 2 records, instead of adding it here in the row wise, now they are being added as a column wise. Okay, so all the records would be like added as a column wise right now. So here you see we have 2 records, we're getting it, and we do not have the third record, so we're getting none here. Okay, so this is how it works. So this is how you can join more than 2 data frame together. So here you see, if in case you want to concatenate, the thing is that we have a different things here, right? So you can concatenate based on this column. So that means this column is automatically going to add it here, but you would not be able to define any relationship between them. Okay, so you can just go ahead and say that what you want to do is that pd dot concatenate. Okay, you can give your both the data frame name, which is called the first one here, and the second one, which is going to be the employee. Now again, that's not going to make any sense, but I'm just going to show you like what I'm trying to do here. Employee, let's put them in a brackets, let's put them in a square brackets. let's say x is equals 1. Okay, so you can see now automatically the department I'm getting first, then I'm getting all the employees. So we are doing join based on the column. If in case I want to join with axis, so I can say axis equals 0. So that means now everything is being added based on this axis. So here we have all the columns, and for those columns where you don't have the values, you're getting null. Department ID, department name, and the regions are different, so they are not going to be added here, so they would be added separately. Okay, but for those records you don't have, like where you have the employee details, they don't have those informations together. So okay, so this is how the concat function works, a very simple approach. Now let's go ahead and see our next function, that's going to be group by. Okay, now this is one of the most useful, basically, pandas functions, which is going to be group by and aggregations. We have two ways to do group by and aggregations. I'm going to show you both the ways. Okay, so, and we will also use a real data set, which is called Walmart sales data sets, which has more than kind of 1000 plus sales records. We will do some analysis using group by. We will see what are the things you can do using group by, which we already have done in SQL, kind of different videos. So let's go ahead and let's see how group by works. So let me just say group by. Okay, so group by is basically when you have a larger data set, you want to analyze the data by creating different groups. Let's say you have a sales record, different products. Now you want to see each product and their total sales, so you need to do a group by each product ID or product name. So for each product you will have their sale. You can do a group by each city, and you can see each city and what is the sale you have collected, right? Each category and their sale. You can do a group by each month, each date. So different things you can do, right? So let's first go ahead and see how this group by works, then we will be doing some group by. Okay, so I would use initially this records, which is called simple data sets, which is this one, city, product, and sales. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's kind of see the data set first of all. So I have created a simple data frame, which is called df. You can see I have kind of different city and their sale. So for New York, I have kind of, for product A I have $100 sale. From the New York, for product B I have $150 sale. So total sale from the New York is going to be 100 plus 150, that means 250, right? So if you do a group by the city, you will have the 100 plus 150, that means you will have each city and their total sale. For New York, we will have a sale of 100 plus 150, that's going to be 250. For Los Angeles, it's going to be 200 plus 300, that's going to be 500. Okay, if I do a group by the city. What if I do a group by the product? So for product, these two products are same product. So for A product, I have done a 300 sale. For B product, I have kind of 150 plus 300 sale. So it's a simple group by that we have used in SQL, and you have used a pivot table as well. So I'm sure in Excel's, it's the same function. So let's go ahead and see how we can use group by. Okay, so to use a group by, your data set must be as a data frame. That means this must be a data frame. Once you have a data frame, you can just say dot, and you can say group by. Okay, let's see kind of the syntax and everything, definitions of this group by. So you can see this group by says that it takes something called by. Okay, now in by you need to give a column name, like by which column you're doing a group by. You can give more than one column as a list as well, that will also work fine. So here, let's say in our data set, we want to first do a group by city. Now next important is that aggregation function, because see at the end, why you're doing group by is that you want to analyze the data set. Maybe you want to see the total count, you want to see the total sales or total mean. Okay, all those things you want to do. So let's see how we can do it. So let's first do a simple group by. I'm just going to say group by, and I would say by, and here I would just go ahead and group by from this data frame. I'm saying data frame dot group by what? So by here I would just need to give my column name. Okay, what is the column name? Let's say first let's do a group by city. Okay, if I just now run it, it's simply going to return a group by data frame. You can see it here, but I need to basically write whatever I'm looking for. Now here, after this, you see it is returning a group by kind of object here. I would just need to say what I am looking for. See, after group by, you must have some objective that you want to see each city and their total sale. Now our objective is that we want to see this total sale for each of the cities. So this group by is going to return two distinct city, because at the moment we have two cities. One is called New York and Los Angeles. And for New York and Los Angeles, I may want to see the total sale. Okay, so here what I want is that I need to give that in a square brackets which column I want. So what I'm looking for is this total sale. Okay, total. Okay, the column name is total. You can see the column is total. Now from this total, you need to give a aggregation functions, like what exactly you are looking for. Let's say you are looking for sum. Okay, so sum, you just need to give this parenthesis, and you can see now this city, by this city column I'm grouping the whole data. So I have the first city, which is called Los Angeles, second city, which is called New York, and for Los Angeles I have 500 total sales which I have done from Los Angeles. We can verify this and this, like two sales, so 300 and kind of 200, 500 sale. And you see Newark, I have done 250 sales. Okay, that is how you get using sum. If I use a count here, it's going to give you 2 and 2 because from the both the city we have done 2 sale. Let me just add one more sale here. Okay, let's go ahead and say add one more sale, call maybe something called product ID A, and let's say sale of kind of $750. Okay, and that's from maybe something like Newark. Okay, so let's add a city name called here Newark. So that's fine, we have added one more sales this time. Let's go ahead and see the count. Now you can see we have done 2 sales from Los Angeles and 3 sales from Newark. Like even if you want to see the data frame, so you can just say DF, and you can see here Newark 1 sale, Newark 1 sale 2 sale, Los Angeles Newark 1 sale 3 sales, Los Angeles 1 sale 2 sale. Okay, so if you want to see the count 2 and 3, if you want to see the sum, okay, so you will be getting like 2, and for Los Angeles 500, for Newark it's now $1,000. Okay, because we have added one more sales of $750. Okay, so this is the simple group by. Now what if in case you have a complicated data sets, you want to do a group by multiple different columns, and you are looking for more than one values in return, and you need some count and multiple things like this. Okay, so that's where you would be using aggregation functions using something called egg. Now let's go ahead and see how we can do a group by not using this approach but using a different approach. So let's go ahead and say df dot group by, and here I would just give my column name. What is the column name? It's the column that I'm doing a group by. Okay, so that's going to be, I will need to just write by, and the column I want to do a group by, let's say by the city first. City. Okay, so this is fine. Now here you just need to say dot, and this time you just need to say egg, which is called aggregation, short form of aggregation functions. Okay, now here inside this parenthesis you can give as a dict, like whatever you are looking for. Let's say we were looking for the sum first, which is a total of this total column. We are looking for sum. Okay, because see total column you can use a count as well, you can use a sum as well, which I have shown already earlier, right? I say in the total column I can get a count, so the count I get different things. That means simply I get the count, 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 I get the count. If I say sum, I get different things, right? So based on basically each group what you want the outcome, which is on your number column, which is called total. Okay, so here I would say aggregation functions as a dict. I need to pass what I am looking for. So what is my column name? I need to give first as a dict. So here my column name is called this one, which is called total. Okay, and dict key value pair you need to give. So what I am looking from this column is called sum, so you need to give as a string. So if you give it something like this, now you can see here for Los Angeles I have $500 and Newark I have $1,000. Okay, now let's say for each city I want to see the total as well, I want to see the count. So for that I can just go ahead and say that instead of giving one aggregation function, I can give multiple aggregation function as a list or tuple. So I can go ahead and say sum what I want, and I can say I want also count as well. Okay, so it's going to count the frequency for each city, right? So for Los Angeles we have 2 records, for Newark we have 3 records, right? So this is how the count works. You can also add something called mean as well if you are looking for mean. So let's see what is the mean. So mean is going to be for Los Angeles 500 divided by 2, 250, for Newark 1000 divided by 3, which is called 330. Okay, so here this is how, see this columns, and I am getting this kind of aggregation values. Okay, now let's say what you want is that we want each city, and in each city each product and their total sales, we want something like it. So that means first we want to do a group by the city, and then we want to see each product and their total sales, total count, and total mean. So that is also possible. You just need to add multiple columns here as a list like this. Okay, so we can go ahead and say our next column is going to be like, which I'm going to add something like city. Let's say first I want to do a group by city, then I want to do group by the product, and then for each city, each product, I'm looking for their total of this total column, sum, count, and mean. Okay, so let's run it. You can see for Los Angeles I have 2 product A has 1 sale, product B has 1 sale. Okay, but if you see Newark, I have product A 2 sale, which is 425, product B I have kind of, which is called 1 sale 155, right? So this is how it is working. Now let's see how we can achieve the same result using simple group by, right? So for simple group by, you can say df dot group by, and here you just use a parenthesis and you define your columns. Okay, if you have more than 1 column, so you can pass it as a list. Okay, so let's say we want to first do a group by city, then product, so we can pass it as a list. Okay, now if in case you want to see the city, we can say city, and what we are looking from the data frame is the total column, so total, and let's say sum, we're looking for sum, so you can see the sum. If you're looking for count, so you can say count, you can see the count here, right? Now let's say if you have more than one column which you want to do a group by, so that means we want to do a group by a complete list, which is going to be city first group, then inside each city, then we want to do a group by product, then we want to see the total. Okay, so total column of count. You see now what is happening. First we are doing group by the city, then inside city we are doing group by the kind of product. So for inside each city we have each product and their kind of count. If you don't need the count, you can say sum. Now you can see for each city each product and their total, and if you want the count, so you can just change it to count. Okay, so this is how you can see the count. Now this is fine. Let's go ahead and analyze a real data set. So this is the data set that we'll be analyzing. This is the Walmart data sets. Let's see the data set first in Excel, and let's kind of see what are the columns we have and what are the different things we have in this data sets. Okay, this data set seems like we have invoice ID, branch, city, customer type, gender, product line, unit price, quality. So a lot of columns are here. We can see each branch. You can see this data sets we have kind of more than 10,000 sales, 1,000 sales. We can see each branch and the total sales, like total count of orders that we have. For that we can do a group by the branch, and we can see the number of invoice ID that we have, right? So in invoice ID we can use a count function. We can same way we can see each city. In this invoice ID we can use a count function that's going to give us each city and the total orders, right? Same way we can do gender, each gender and the total orders. Same way we can do each member type and the total orders, each product line total orders. Okay, then we can say each payment method and the total kind of orders. Same way when you say total orders, you can also use a total sales as well, right? So for each city you just need to do a sum function on this total column. Okay, so this is what we can achieve using group by. So you can basically analyze the data. Now see, by looking this data you would not be able to understand what is going on, but you can use it as a pivot table, or in Pandas you can use a simple group by function. Let's first go ahead and import the data sets. So let's go ahead and import the data set. Let's go and let's say here I'm just going to say importing, right? So let's give a data frame name called df, and let's say pd.read. We are going to read a CSV file, so I would just go ahead and say read. So I have the file in the same folders where I have the Jupyter notebook, so I can simply use this name called Walmart CSV, and I'm going to use encoding error ignore. If in case any column has any issues, it's going to ignore that. Let's print df of 5. Okay, df head. You can see this data frame has all these columns. These are the first 5 columns of the data frame. If in case you want to say info, so you can have an info of this data sets, so all the columns and their kind of data types, and if they have any nulls. Okay, see we have 1000 records. It seems like every column has 1000 records, no null at the moment, and their data types. Okay, if you want to see all the columns name, df dot column name, this is going to return all the columns name. Okay, all the data types you have already seen. Now you can use something else as well. You can say dot shape, df dot shape. It's going to return each columns, the number of columns and the rows. So these are the rows, which is 1000 columns, are 13 columns at the moment. So this is fine. Now let's go ahead and start analyzing the data. We want to see the first question of the business is that let's write down a question number 1, which is going to be question number 1. Find out each city and total number of orders. Okay, we have received from each city. Now this is the first problem. Okay, so for that we can say df dot group by. We can use a simple group by as well here. Let me just first show you using simple group by. So we have a column called city, so we can say, then we can use simply this square bracket to access maybe invoice ID. We want to see number of orders this time, so invoice ID of count. Okay, you can see each city and their kind of orders, which is a Chicago 110 and Dallas 95, Houston 81, Los Angeles this, Newark this. Okay, you can see the result here nicely. Okay, so same thing we can achieve using our second approach. Instead of giving it this way, I can say aggregation functions, and I can pass is as a Dict. So for this I would just need to use this invoice ID column. I would just go ahead and say invoice ID, and I'm going to pass it as a key. What I'm looking for is kind of the total. Okay, count. Okay, what I'm looking for is the count. Here you don't have to use the parenthesis. So you can see each city, I'm getting the same results but using a different approach here. Okay, now here the benefit is that instead of count you can get something else as well. Okay, let's say we want to see each city and the total sale. So here you cannot get the total sales, but here what I can say, I don't only need the count, but I also need, along with the count, I also need the total sales. So I would just give a comma, and pass the argument as a list. So what I'm looking for is the sum. Okay, now invoice ID you cannot do a sum because it's a string, right? So instead of that, you can use this total column because that's a data type as a float or int. Okay, let's see, the total column is a float, right? So here you can use the sum because invoice you cannot sum. This is the object data type, which is a text data type, right? But you can use a count. So here we can go ahead and say instead of this invoice ID, I change the column name to total, and you can see I have now each city and their count of orders, which is the total orders, and I have kind of their sum of the, which is the total sales. So for this I have this, for this I have this, right? So this is what it is happening now. Okay, now let's say we want to find out, let's say each kind of branch and the total sale, okay, and total orders. So for that, what I will do is that I would just go ahead and kind of use the branch here, right? Instead of using city, I would say branch. So for each branch, total orders, total sales. Okay, now what I want to say is that for each branch we want to see kind of different genders, and for each branch different genders and total sale. So what is the total sales we have collected from different gender? For each branch, which gender we are getting higher sale. Okay, so for that we can go ahead and say that first we want to do a group by the branch. Now inside each branch we want to see each gender and the total sale. That means I would need to pass as a list here because I am grouping by two columns. One is called branch and then second one is called gender. So the first group is going to be by the branch, then gender, then total sales of count and sum, which I will have it here. Okay, so you can see branch A, again every branch has two genders, which is called male and female, and you can see branch A female 57 sale, male 54 sale, and this is your total transactions. You can see female 105 and 98, branch C 101, and male 124. So here if you see, this branch C seems to have more male customers because here total order is 124. Okay, some insight that you could find using some group by, right? So for female here you can see again 145, 116. Only this branch is doing well where we have more male customers. Okay, that's fine. So this is how you can do group by and analyze the data sets based on different parameters, whatever you want to define. Okay, you can also see something like this. Okay, let's say now what I want is the total quantity sale as well. Instead of this total sale, I want one more column which is called total quantity as well. So I would just go ahead and add a comma here, and let's say what I'm looking for this time is that total quantity as well. Okay, so I would just give my column which is called quantity here. So each city, and let's say I want to see the quantity as well. So second column is going to be quantity, but I want to keep this total as well. So I would just go ahead and give my second column which is quantity, and from the second column what I'm looking for is the sum, and this sum is going to be as a kind of work as a string. So here I need to pass this as a dict. Okay, but there seems to be a mistake. I can only pass one dict and I can pass multiple key and kind of value pairs. Okay, so I would just need to use this, and instead of closing the dict here, I would just close the dict here. Okay, let's organize it, and so that you can understand. Okay, let's go. So what I'm looking for is that group by city and aggregation. For each city I'm looking for the total, kind of from this total column I'm looking for the count and sum, and from the quantity column I'm looking for sum. Okay, so that is fine, and we can just go ahead and run this, and you can see what we are having is now for each city we have the total orders and the total sale and total quantity. So this is the total quantity that we are having it here, right? So this is how we are kind of now analyzing the data, and we are getting two kind of columns and their kind of in aggregation functions here. Okay, so this is fine. We can do a lot of other analysis again based on the different columns, and you can define like what are the outcome that you're looking for. We can see each day and their sales. Okay, maybe you can get each month and their sales, so you can use the date functions to kind of extract the month, and then you can see each month and their sale. You can extract the time as well. You can see each time and their sale. We can see each rating, so each rating and the number of orders that we have. So let's maybe go ahead and say that this one df dot group by with simple group by. What I'm looking for is that different ratings, and I am interested to kind of know what is their kind of number of orders we have, right? So I can say here is that what I'm looking for, the invoice ID, maybe invoice ID what I'm looking for is the count. Okay, so same thing, I would have different ratings and their count. You can see all these are different ratings I have. Okay, so I can do achieve this same way is instead of using it this way, I can say go ahead and put it in aggregations. So let's go and put it as a egg dot aggregations, and pass this as like this. So here I would just need to pass it as a dict. So dict only one column name here, and I don't need this parenthesis. Okay, let's go, and I would just need to use, instead of dot, use this, and this must be as a string here. Okay, so now I can see I have the same results but using the different approach. Okay, so both the approach is very useful if you just need a quick kind of calculation. So maybe you can use the simple group by, otherwise you can use this aggregation functions if you need more columns and more kind of number values. Okay, all right, that's it for this video guys. Thank you so much for watching the video till then, and I hope you have learned something new. If you're new to this channel, do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'm also going to add 10 plus exercise on this data set. So try to solve all those problem, and you can find everything from the GitHub repository. That is it for today. Have a good one. Take care. See you tomorrow.